For this project, I'll be building some live edge floating shelves. My local Lowe's had a decent selection of live edge slabs that were relatively inexpensive. After digging around for a little bit, I found 2 half slabs that would work for what I was looking for. I had already ordered the hardware, so I just had to make sure the pieces I grabbed were wide and thick enough for the brackets. The planned shelf lengths were going to be 40 inches, so there will definitely be some leftover pieces. Before cutting the shelf lengths, I squared off the ends to make measuring the length a little easier. The rip side of the boards were relatively square, so I squared the sides with the speed square. I then scored the cut lines to prevent any splintering. Set my blade depth and used the speed square as a fence for running the cut. I set the depth a touch high to prevent cutting into the workbench. Then I just came back and finished the cuts with a handsaw. I'll admit, I'm not the best at identifying wood species. I originally thought this was pine based off of the bark.
Why does that smell like cedar?
Turns out, it was cedar. This worked out great because cedar is a natural insect repellent and rot resistant. With all the plants that will be set on these shelves, these natural properties would help ensure they last a long time. Time to cut out the second shelf. Unfortunately, my workbench dips in the middle, so if you hear the blade pinch during these cuts, that's why. I fixed this after the project. After cutting the first 2 shelves, I had a lot of leftover material, so I reached out to the friend I was making these for to see if she wanted some extra shelves. While waiting to hear back, I decided to start cleaning up the surface of the larger shelves. I started off using a 6-inch pad on this sander, but unfortunately the Velcro on the mesh paper was starting to wear out. I unfortunately ran out of 6-inch paper, so I had to switch to the 5-inch pad. I picked up where I left off and continued sanding all the surfaces at 80 grit. There was a slight dip on the surface towards the sapwood, so I had to be careful not to sand too much of it. I would normally run pieces like this through the planer, but I had to make sure the boards were thicker than the mounting hardware. I could already tell I was going to be cutting it close with these shelves. After evening the surface at 80 grit, I moved up to 120 for a more smooth finish. My friend got back to me and agreed to take the 2 extra shelves, so I added 2 smaller brackets to my Amazon order. One of the shelves didn't have any bark on it, and the other didn't have enough to make me want to keep it, so I decided to remove the bark from these smaller shelves. I carefully removed the bark from this shelf with some chisels, making sure not to go too deep and gouge the sapwood. With the bark removed, I can now cut these down to size. And sand them smooth. With all the shelves sanded, all that was left to do was wait for the hardware to show up. And after a couple days, the order arrived. Surprisingly, the hardware came with some decent quality anchors and screws. Usually when they include stuff like this, it tends to be a little bit on the cheaper side, so this turned out to be a nice surprise. So off camera, I took a 2x4 scrap. I put painter's tape on one side and double-sided tape on the other to hold it to the lip of my workbench. Pretty much what I want to do, since I don't have a workbench vise, is I want to clamp it square to the workbench, so that way I can work on cutting out the tracks and the grooves for the hardware for the floating shelf and not have to work at weird like sideways angles with the router. So that's what that piece of wood is. There we go. That's not too bad. To center the brackets with the boards, I marked a center line on both the wood and the bracket and lined them up. I traced over the scribed line with the pencil to make it a little bit easier to see, and then lined up all the center points. With the bracket centered, I could now trace the outline of where to cut out the recess for the hardware. Unfortunately, there isn't a lot of room for error on the sides of the outline. I'll have to be careful, especially with this knot and split in the edge. Here I'm adjusting the router to fall just inside the outline. To avoid damaging the wood around the knot and the split, I routed out this recess in 2 passes. The first pass was about 1/8 of an inch depth. I gotta get a vacuum attachment for this router ASAP. First pass looks good. Time for the final pass at 1/4 inch. I continued routing out the channel and would periodically stop to vacuum all the sawdust out from inside the sleeve of my shirt. Alright, so I got the 1/4 inch channel all routed out. Still got to square up the ends with some chisels. There was a chip here before I started, but after taking a closer look at it, I noticed it's loose. So what I'll probably end up doing is either use some CA glue or some Type Bond and clamp that down and let that dry overnight. I'm going to square these off and make sure that the hardware fits first before I fix this. On top of squaring up the ends, I also cleaned up the sides where the router fell just a touch short of the outline. Time for the test fit. Oh man, not quite. Removing this much material from the sides had me a bit nervous. If it didn't fit after this, I'd probably grind down the width of the bracket instead of removing more wood. Fortunately though, the bracket fit after the second round of cleaning up the edges. I decided to use CA glue to fix the split. Once in place, I evened the inside with the rest of the recess, and then used a small planer to make the top flush. With the first board routed out, I could now move on to the other boards. After getting a good system down for the first board, the others didn't take nearly as long, and the hardware fit perfectly the first time. The smaller boards were definitely the easiest to do out of all of them. Looking back, the only thing I would have done differently is maybe drilling the holes before I routed out the channels. That may have saved me a little time in the long run. But my original thought was that it would be easier to mark the drill holes with the recesses already cut out. I'm not too sure which method is better, so let me know in the comments if I should drill first next time. To mark where to drill, I used a small speed square and traced some light guidelines along the sides of the channel. Then transferred the lines across the middle. Once that was done, I marked all the center points with a punch. I then used a drill block to make sure I didn't blow out the sides of the board. I then went back and drilled to the correct depth needed for each of the hardware pegs. The first test fit was way too snug. Alright. Fortunately, I didn't blow through the front, but I think what happened was the drill bit hit this knot and then started walking this way a little bit. because it's not centered. It kind of tapers this way, and because of that, it's pulling the bracket that way. So I gotta widen this hole. Unfortunately, as much as I don't want to, I didn't want the bracket to be too loose in the board, so I used a rounded rasp to remove little by little until the hardware fit. The holes were still a bit too snug for the second test fit, so I'll use the rasp to clean up the other holes as well. This did the trick, so now I can move on to the other boards. With all the hardware openings complete, all that was left to do was run a final sand and finish each of the shelves. For the final sand, I used 220 grit paper. I then vacuumed and wiped each of the pieces down with a tack cloth. While sanding, I thought it could be a good idea to use the hardware as a rack for letting the polyurethane cure. So I grabbed some scrap 2x4s and mounted the hardware to both boards.
Oh, it's because the battery's low. You idiot.
Oh yeah, now we're cooking.
Cool, so I'll poly them and then set them on here.
To finish these pieces, I'll be using some warm, ultra-flat poly. My friend wants the boards to match her birch countertop and furniture, so I figured the warm hue of the poly would help bring the color closer to matching them. Matching the color of her furniture without having the furniture in front of me was a bit difficult, so I'm just going to hope for the best and that this will be close. I'll be installing these in her apartment, so if the color isn't spot on, I'll bring my sander and some different natural stains. I continued applying poly to all the boards in the direction of the wood grain, and applied a generous amount to the bark on the larger shelves. All the boards were done, so I'll let this sit overnight and apply the second coat tomorrow. The next day, I used a sanding block and 400 grit paper to clean up the surfaces before applying the second coat. Lightly sanding between coats helps get rid of any dust or uneven spots in the poly to ensure a smooth finish on the final coat. After sanding, I vacuumed off all the dust and applied the second coat. I decided to stop after the second coat. I didn't want the shelves to become too yellow. Fast forward to the install, I used a laser level and some painter's tape to lay out the location of each shelf. The tape was the exact length of the shelves, so all I did to align them was mark a center line on the tape and the brackets, and then line them up. And after mounting the brackets to the walls, the shelves were all done. Overall, I think these shelves turned out really good. It was a great learning experience and my friend loves them. And ignore the small sliver of blue tape, by the way. I noticed this after filming and removed it. While I wish these smaller pieces had more prominent bark, I still love how well they fit the space behind your coffee bar. Thank you all for watching. A list of tools and materials used will be linked in the description below. Please let me know in the comments if you have any woodworking advice or cool ideas I should try for a future project. Thank you.